Those who follow Conducting Parkinson's will remember that last month I had the opportunity to have a conversation with music therapist Concetta Tomeno. It's through Connie that I've met Priscilla Weaver. To say that Priscilla is a life force is an understatement, and I know you'll find my conversation with her to be both delightful and inspirational.
Good afternoon. There we go. Is that
There
better?
you go. Yes. Well,
So first of all, just to let you know, I really do music for PD. Here's my notebook with all the music projects I've done since I was diagnosed.
wow. So when you say music projects like such as,
I've created massive walking lists for myself of classical music and 60s music. I on a road trip with my husband, where is it? I indexed all 41 Mozart symphonies by tempo, and I've provided that. Yep, every movement. Okay. At a time when I at least did not know that you could just do that with an app. So I've done a whole lot of stuff with walking, and I'm fascinated with your conversations about how tempo is important, but so is singing, and so is melody and stuff. That second layer of walking, I realize, is why one of the reasons why I love walking to music rather than just a metronome, because I can sing with everything. I think it's 9 versions of the Hallelujah chorus that are at my tempo. So I go walking down my road out here in the country singing the Hallelujah chorus at the top of my voice. I was trying to think of something that I could do that would involve sight reading again, because you know how important sight reading is for brain hand
sure.
or brain baton or whatever you're doing. Okay. So I dug out of my closet this ancient book, 371 Harmonized Chorales by J.S. Bach. Think about it, 371. I mean, the guy had 19 children. He had a lot of mouths to feed, right? Okay, so here they are. So I started at the beginning, and it took me over 3 years to get through all 371. But then I just went back to the beginning and started doing it again, because we know that, at least at my age, I'm 78, right? I don't remember sight reading that a year and a half ago. So great hand-eye coordination, because for me, this my left hand is just shot. So anyway, that's not all of it, but that's what I've been doing for 3 years.
So we need to step back a little bit.
Okay.
So tell me about your musical background.
I took my first piano lesson when I was 5. I took piano lessons. I grew up in rural Iowa. I took piano lessons till I was 18. And then I went off to Lawrence University in Appleton, and I was a piano major. And then when I graduated, because I didn't take music ed, I was unemployable, of course. So I taught school. I taught school in a private school for a couple of years, and then I went and got a master's degree in historical musicology in Michigan. Because back then, at least in my understanding, if you had a master's degree, you could get a college teaching position, right? But by the time I finished my master's thesis and had that master's under me, then you had to have a PhD, or that's what I thought. So I went to library school and got a music library degree.
Cool.
And by that time, my husband was finishing his PhD. And so then we had to find a location where he could do a PhD in or a postdoc in molecular biology, and I could find a music library job. A little tough. So ultimately, my older brother said, why don't you just go to law school? So I did that. So for 25 years, so for 30 years, law school and practice, I barely played the piano.
Really?
Yeah. And then we retired real early. I came out from Chicago to rural Oregon. And I found a fabulous pianist here named Alexander Tutanov on the faculty of Southern Oregon University. And I studied with Alex for 3 years. All of that is to say I'm an on and off pianist. And after I was diagnosed, my husband said, You've had Parkinson's for a while. And I said, why do you say that? And he said, Priscilla, don't you remember about 5 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, before my diagnosis? He said, you were playing that first Bach prelude, the same one that has the Ave Maria over it. Don't you remember when I said to you, your thumb's lagging?
Right.
And I never put the two of them together.
Right. So that's interesting. So your first symptoms of Parkinson's were not a tremor.
Well, it was a tremor that sent me to a neurologist. It was only looking back, it was only retrospectively that we realized
Right.
that my thumb had started to fail.
So question is very
Yeah.
interesting to me. How far in advance were your issues of your thumb before you began the tremor and went to a neurologist?
It's about 3 years, Tom.
About 3 years.
I have very mild, very slow Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Except that the people that know me know that I'm losing a lot of my facial expression.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, getting softer if I'm not careful. And I have a tremor.
Now,
But
how long ago was your diagnosis?
May 2022, so 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay.
And I elected not to start levodopa because I wanted to, first of all, I didn't really need it. And
Mhm.
my doctor, my neurologist was very straight up with me and said, Priscilla, all this is going to do is help your gait symptoms. It's not going to slow it down.
Mhm.
I wanted to find out what my body was capable of first.
Mm.
So I have a fabulous personal trainer. And for me, getting my muscles and my body, both my big ones and my little ones, as strong as possible is how I keep from losing it, from doing this. How we're supposed to shrink.
Right.
I've worked with my therapist and got my arm completely extended again and all kinds of stuff. And then
Yeah.
finally, and my movement disorder neurologist up in Portland, I have to drive 5 hours to see my neurologist. She was all on board with it. She said, Priscilla, you don't have to take that medicine until you want it. And so in
Right.
March, I said, yeah, give me a baby dose. Let's see what happens.
So you're taking carbidopa, levodopa, or just a little bit?
Yeah,
What do you, what?
I take a baby 125 or something like that 3 times a day.
Okay.
And I could tell the difference, Tom, when I started taking it, but it did not make me wish I had started even one day sooner because I really wanted to see how much I could push my body.
Sure. So I'm interested in the walking to music.
So walking to a beat absolutely regularizes what's going on for me. There's a fade, F-A-D-E, that goes on in tempo. My trainer has told me this, Connie's told me this, my neurologist has told me this. So one of the things that my personal trainer does is tries to make as many of my exercises happen with the metronome on in my ear, in my hearing aids. So she has me, for example, when I'm jumping rope, put the metronome on and I can feel when it starts slowing down. When you start to get tired, it's not fatigue that starts slowing you down. It's apparently it's our Parkinson's. No, I certainly know that once I get started playing the piano or once I get started walking or whatever, my symptoms just drain away for a while. It's fantastic. My hands are so much stronger from my strength training through my shoulders and lifting.
Right.
But they're stronger because I spend time at the piano, saying these are my little legs and these need to walk and these need to exercise.
Right.
One other thing that's related, and that is it has helped me a lot to live with the notion that it's not Parkinson's that's making our muscles atrophy and start, going like this and get tighter. It's that the signal's not telling that muscle to do it. So one of the things the reason we need to go like this with our hands and like this with our arms is to say to our muscles, okay, if the dopamine thief has taken away my ability to do this without working at it, I will work, because I want every muscle in my body to say at full extension when I ask it to.
When you say that when you sit at the piano and you play and you feel the symptoms lessening, I'm not completely going away, but you feel an improvement in the symptoms.
Absolutely.
Do you attribute it to the physical action of playing the music, or do you feel it as a result of the connecting with the beauty of the music, the aesthetic experience of the music?
Yes, yes, and then another one too. So I think there are at least three things going on. One is certainly just practicing, because that's muscles. We all know that. One is I have a phenomenal piano and I just adore piano music. So of course. But I think the third one is I'm retraining my brain so that I'm getting better signals. I'm developing alternate pathways, basically.
Right.
Yeah. But absolutely, I've loved hearing you talk about the aesthetic and the power of music, and I hadn't focused on that before.
Well, can I ask you another question? Do you get any effect? Do you ever play music that's not a rigid in tempo, just beautiful, lush?
Oh, sure.
Did you get any positive impact on your symptoms from that, or is it only steady rhythmic music that is impacting you?
I don't know, but I'm going to write that down. I don't know, but what
I want to know that.
Almost none of the music I play has a rigid tempo, because my favorite composers are Chopin and Ravel. Okay? So there we go. This is going to be a really interesting experiment, because I guess I have assumed that getting with the flow and the reduction of symptoms was primarily just oiling the mechanism. Wow.
Oh. See, I think there's something about that beauty. I think there's something about that that artistic experience of being part of the creative process that is magical.
Yeah. For Parkinson's.
Yeah. It's not just the oiling of the hinges, which is there as well. But there is a difference between being a receiver of music,
Yep.
a listener, which is a receiver of music, and being a creator of the music. For me, there's a very clear distinction. I think it's really fascinating the way that that music has become part of your therapy, for lack of a better term, but how it's such an integral part of what's of your treatment, and how effective it's been for you it's really inspiring.
Not only do I walk to music, but music helps me stay in beat all the time, Tom, that I'm awake.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you my question that I ask everybody to finish the interviews, and you already anticipated coming if you've watched them, is when you have the opportunity to meet someone who's just starting the journey of Parkinson's, what words of advice do you give them?
I start by saying, it stinks, doesn't it? And then what I say to them is, the great news is it's a chronic disease and anybody over 60 has at least one. And third is, it moves slowly. So just live your life and start moving to music. That's my big proselytizing, Tom, is I tell people, keep moving.
Well, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch for sure.